Hey, Stoney here with another game of Mechabellum, and it's been a while since we've had an epic standard game. So this is the one for you. Let's go. At the bottom here, we have Obesity, I love the name, playing as a supply specialist, and he's up against Decisive playing as a cost control specialist. I don't know too much about the Obesity, but Decisive, he's known to be one of the best standard board players. So for those of you that are new to Mechabellum, whenever we're referring to standard play or defensive play, that just means the majority of your army are around these two towers. Whenever we're referring to aggro play, that means the majority of the army are in the middle on the line, so where this box is. So in this case, both of the players' army are right beside the tower, and it's going to be a very drawn out long range type of game. So in standard play, unlike aggro, couple things to know is that it's very difficult to get to your opponent's tower because most of the units are by the tower, so even with flanking is not as effective as if you were to play aggro. And secondly, whereas in aggro, speed is usually preferred over range, but in standard play, range is king. So that means, while aggro players like units like steel balls or crawlers or phoenixes that moves really fast, but in standard play, units like storm crawlers and marksmen and vulcan, right? Things that are that can shoot far, that have a lot of health, are generally preferred. Now, standard play may seem kind of boring on the surface, but it is such a nuanced strategy that personally I think is more difficult than aggro. All right, we're at round 2 already. We have one card that extends the range of your unit. It is a very popular card in standard play, both the extended range Arclight and Phoenix actually. So Arclight is taken by the Zemp. He's already running quite a few of them on the board. Obesity right now is running tarantulas, but I don't think he will keep the tarantulas. They are notoriously bad in standard play because of their range, only 75 meters compared to the Arclight. And of course, this is with the extended range of 20. But even by default, you get 93. So with extended range is at 113, quite a significant advantage over these tarantulas. All right, the Zemp is setting up to have an extremely powerful board here, with the combination of Stonecrawlers and Arclights. Usually, a long-range player will like to have a lot of chaff at the front, preferably adding 2 more Stonecrawlers up to a total of 4, and just soften up the army as much as they possibly can before pivoting into the heavy hitters like the Marksman or Melting Point. All right, so far I want to give the advantage to the Zemp simply because of the unit composition. However, I do like the additional late arriving chaff here. So the Zemp's problem at the moment is that his chaff clear is fantastic, but once the chaff dissipates, it's going to take a long time to get rid of these tarantulas, which means these snipers hiding behind the safety of these tarantulas are able to pick off this Arclight. So it's such a fine balance that you have to deal with. The tarantula, even though they can count as a carry unit, but in this case they're really just a chaff, right? They're just there to give time for the marksmen to work. So wouldn't be surprised if the Zemp start putting down marksmen of his own, or even just more Stonecrawlers. We got another reinforcement card. This time I think intensive training is very interesting in sort of a long range fight. It's taken by Obesity. It's actually taken by both. With the long range fight, sometimes you want to add pressure to a certain part of the board, but that pressure may not always be available in the form of units. So you just, you need to get that extra level. Another thing great about intensive training is that units like Marksman, which runs Elite, gets additional scaling and benefits by leveling. Same goes with the Arclight, also has the Elite, so taking it intensive training allows them to do that a little bit faster. Okay, so it looks like it's going to be a row of Marksmen into a row of Arclights. Now, the Zemp did finally add 2 more Stonecrawlers to a total of 4, so now he should have a much easier time dealing with his tarantulas. And once the tarantulas are gone, the stormcrawlers are free to start targeting these marksmen. However, Obesity is very smartly positioned these ultra late arriving crawlers. So as you can see, just when the tarantula gets destroyed, these crawlers walk in front of the marksman, continue to draw fire from it, allowing the marksman to pick off the storm crawlers from distance, now with range. So once this round finishes, let's talk about the distance between these late arriving crawlers and the marksman for in order for Obesity to do this sort of stuff. Alright, so it looks like there's going to be a tower capture here. And it looks like these Stormcaller might actually take the game simply because he also has a few Fangs just to soak up the damage. Alright, round 4, we got a unit drop. Mustangs can be very good if you put them all the way back in the line. So the Zem takes the Mustang. Whenever you see Mustang and Wasp drop, you have to be very careful of taking Wasps. So Wasp is taken, but right now it is a bit of a problem because the Mustang is on the ground. If Obesity has Stormcrawlers of his own, he might be slightly better. But right now, these Mustangs really have no have nothing to be afraid of, right? Vulcan gets put down, so this is turning into a pretty standard Vulcan marksman board. Now, earlier we talked about the late arriving crawlers. So in order for these crawlers to arrive after the tarantula dies, I think you leave them about 4 squares behind the marksman. And that's marksman with range. So marksman without range, the marksman will be more likely to move up further, maybe by about 20 meters. But with range is about 4 squares behind the marksman. Assuming the marksmen are almost at the tower. Alright, big Vulcan. No tech yet, but it should survive a little bit. Lots of health and also with Photon. Photon seems to be a waste, but it looks like the Vulcan is getting some damage coming in from the Stormcrawlers where the Vulcan is still active, so that's good. On the other side, things are falling simply because of these Mustangs and also late arriving fans. Mustangs serve a dual purpose of clearing up these late arriving fans, but also just providing a lot of chaff. Like marksmen are not good into Mustangs. So the Zemp showing us how it's done, right? Picking the right unit combinations in the right order so that at any given time, he will have more chaff than his opponent and more chaff clear. Improved fire control system is excellent, but extended range Vulcan, especially for our blue player here, cannot be ignored. He's already running Vulcan, so I think it makes sense just to get that extended range. Zem took the item. I think it's going to go on a Mustang, and indeed it does. And it gets double upgraded, so it gets upgraded once because of just its natural progression, and then it gets intensive trained, bringing it up to level 4. So this Mustang is really powerful, especially in the late game. Pair of Phoenixes gets put down. I'm surprised it is Phoenixes instead of Marksman. I think because Dezem is a little late to the party of, you know, these long-range sniper units. So Phoenix gives you a bit more tempo, whereas Marksman, you can only bite them one at a time, and Phoenix, you can get a pair at a time. Problem with the Phoenix is just that Marksman outranges them by about 40 meters. 20 meters, actually. And while this Marksman from blue does not carry the anti-air technology, but at the late game, I just think the Phoenixes are... they're not great against equal numbers of marksmen. But because you can buy them in pairs, chances are you'll always have more Phoenixes than there are marksmen, so it works out in the end. And it doesn't really matter if your army consists of a lot of late arriving chaff, because the Phoenix, because of their range, would just always be shooting from very far behind. Alright, great tower here on the right. It's actually a level 2 Vulcan, so it was recruited and leveled immediately. Now, if anyone can figure out, the weak points of a Vulcan marksman comp is going to be Dizem. I mean, he is the master of standard play. He has played all kinds of standard games against Vulcan Phoenix, Vulcan Marksman, Arclight Storms, Melting Point, Arclight Storms, Marksman, right? All sorts of combinations. So he knows exactly where to push. But the danger of running into Vulcan Marksman is just that at some point they outscale you with range, and these Vulcan just clear up your chaff so quickly. And these Marksmen, once they get level and get elite, they're just super deadly. Double tech Vulcan coming out, just ensuring that whatever's at the front of the Vulcan dies almost instantly. I'm surprised he took Scourge before Best Partner. He's already got 4 Vulcan on the ground. And if he took Best Partner, he will be able to get 4 more Marksmen of the level of the Vulcan. And I think that's a slightly better deal. But for now, it's just going to be a lot of power coming out from these 2 Vulcans. Scourge allows them to do even more damage to units like Arclights. So it's not just chaff, they will be able to more effectively participate in the main battle after the initial chaff has been cleared. All right, units are coming down here. Now pay attention to the performance of these Mustangs. These Mustangs are absolutely critical in ensuring that both players, especially for Dizem, that he'll be able to clear out his late arriving fans and get to really the soft underbelly of underdogs aboard these marks. But it looks like the Mustangs are unable to get the job done. Right now, there seems to be a damage issue or damage output issue from the Zem side. These Phoenixes are all level 1, which means they're not able to DPS down these big Vulcans quick enough. Stonecrawlers, for now, they're mostly used as chaff clear. If the Zem ever sees it fit, he might consider upgrading these Stonecrawlers. Blue Stonecrawlers actually hurt a lot into Giants. But doesn't matter, it looks like the Zem is still winning the fight. Additional deployment is excellent. Incendiary is also pretty good, but I think if you're going to expect the game to go on for a couple turns, taking additional deployment can't go wrong. Both are taking Incendiary. And with Standard, there's not really much you can do to defend against Incendiary. There's 2 ways. You can push shields really forward at the front, but they run the risk of just being destroyed. Or you can put the shields right by the tower like this December is doing, but chances are if you are the blue player, you simply can just put it right here and that's fine. Blue player instead decided to put the fire all the way in the back right against this level 4 Mustang, but this level 4 Mustang is at 1221 HP. I think he might be able to make it through, right? It's 300 damage per second on the fire, so it takes 2 seconds for them to go through, allowing them to save themselves. From the Zem side, I think a lot of the crawlers, at least 2 crawlers, are going to die. And if Underdog decides to take that 3rd technology of Best Partner, it's going to be in a bit of a trouble as well. The Marksmen are now with double shot, right? Almost increasing or doubling its damage. Not quite 100% because there's an increase in reload time. So overall, I don't know exactly what the math is, but it's not doubling the damage. But still powerful though, into big units. Alright, let's take a look at the board and how it plays out. The first thing to notice is that this Arclight gets caught a little bit too early. What that means is these crawlers, they're only getting cleared up by these 2 Arclights on the side. On the left hand side, everything just kind of died. We have some Phoenixes left over, but yeah, everything just kind of died. And this is unfortunate because he actually had fire on the left hand side. So what it means really is just that these Vulcans are doing way more than they ever should be. And Vulcan is just going to scale more and more. I mean, when a Vulcan gets one level ahead of your Phoenixes, it takes twice as many shots, right? So it makes sense. And Phoenixes don't shoot very fast. That's a big problem, and it's going to be a recurring theme in the next couple rounds. So the first big round that December lost here. Another intensive training is being offered. Super supply is a bit late. We're at round 8, so the game is probably going to end in about 3 rounds, so you're not going to make any money off that. Ion Blast is pretty good. Everything's on a line, and it could be good for our blue player as well. So if I were them, I would choose between Ion or intensive training. Portable shield. Actually, you know what? For blue, because there are so many high-level Vulcans, just drop a portable shield and kind of doubling up their HP is not terrible either. Like this level 3 Vulcan with 80,000 HP, imagine if it gets another 80,000 shield. Totally worth the 100 cost. But instead, it's just going to be double Ion Beam. Phoenix gets the Resurrection tech. Interesting. I would assume that it would just get the shield tech, because it kind of does exactly the same thing. The shield allows the Phoenix to take 2 shots from the marksman. And then Resurrection. Actually, you know what? What am I saying? These marksmen have double shots. So with shield, it doesn't actually help their cause. So yeah, I am a potato. So it's going to be Resurrection. That is the correct move instead of shield. Alright, Ion Beam is going down this way. I think the only purpose for that is to get rid of these Mustangs. You have to be really careful with the timing of this. I don't think it's going to get all the Mustangs. It's such a curious setup. The Zem's Ion Beam is just more straightforward. It's going to take Vulcan, Marksman, not quite killing the Vulcan, but definitely doing damage to it. 5 Vulcan, and the chaff clear is just insane. And there's just no way that the Zem's 5 or 6 arc lights are going to do the same amount of output, right? And these Vulcans are continue to level, which means the Phoenixes are having a hard time to gun them down before the chaff war ends. And what that means is the Vulcan continues to do the damage and now pushing for the tower. The level 4 Sandworm with armor is kind of scary, but I would love to have the Sandworm more to the front instead of hiding all the way in the back. Imagine if the Sandworm is at the front, allowing this Vulcan to focus on them instead of arriving after the chaff. That would have been a big difference. Alright, tower gets captured. The worm is still alive, and it does have a pretty respectable splash. Means that it can chaff clear self-sufficiently. But now we're at round 9, and this is the point where things gets a little scary for our blue player. Actually, for our red player, because this board with the Vulcan marksman is starting to scale. Now, nobody right now is actually taking the Elite Marksman card, but at some point, I'm sure the blue player will. Look at the board here. I think Phantom Ray might actually be an excellent choice here for our blue player. Because after the Vulcan has all disappeared from these Phoenixes, Phantom Ray with Cloak can actually get close to the Phoenixes, kill them off, and trade more efficiently. Yeah, I think that might be a good option. So it's going to be the Phantom Rays here for blue. And it's going to be Fortress, mostly there for selling. But I think the Zem is for getting chaff clear. That's the big problem. I wouldn't mind seeing even more Stormcallers, maybe with fire and range. How many crawlers do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 crawlers here for our blue player, and then only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 crawlers for our red player. So having fire on the Stormcaller is definitely more favorable to the player with fewer crawlers. Alright, a lot more Phoenixes going down. I'm a little concerned for the Zemp here. I think his chaff clear is going to be subpar, and then his damage dealer is also going to be subpar. With Underdog's units just keep leveling up, and the eventual adoption of the elite marksman technology, I just, yeah, I'm worried about it. No chance for the Mustangs to survive here. And once the Phoenixes are gone, the Phantom Ray goes in and they snipe the tower. Alright, so these Phoenixes will regenerate, but here's the issue, right? It's kind of awkward. It's just that once you get all of those Mustangs, because you have big Vulcans, every Phoenix was just shooting at these fans. We still got fans left over, and it's just such a waste. So a huge round here for our blue player, swinging the favor back to him and bringing the Zemp down to 1500. Okay, Mustang production is probably pretty good on a Vulcan. And aside from that, I mean, that's pretty much it. Berserk Rhino is kind of a meme. Nobody ever picks that. Advanced offensive tactics, you can buy it here, you can buy it at the tower. It doesn't matter. I think for the Vulcans, just getting more damage makes sense. I think loose formation could also be clicked for the crawlers, because the only type of chaff clear is these arc lights, and they absolutely suck into loose crawlers. Fire's click for the stone crawler. I think that's a great move. It's going to ignite this pool of fire, so essentially eliminating all the crawlers here. And it also provides chaff clear help later on in case loose is clicked. Now, the Zemp keep adding Phoenixes. I'm not entirely sure if that's the correct line of thinking. I feel like, yes, you should add more Phoenixes, but if your Phoenixes aren't clearing out these Vulcans quick enough, maybe the Stonecrawlers will do. There is a danger of getting more Stonecrawlers because your opponent can always just put down a row of anti-missile devices, but I feel like Stonecrawlers might be a little bit better in DPS and stuff down and also creating collateral damage. Alright, we got a ton of Phantom Rays. Stormcrawlers coming in. They are going to shoot at the fire here, or at the oil, which means bye-bye chaff here. But not that it matters, because we have some very strong Vulcans. So as soon as anyone's in range of these Vulcans, they just get gunned down. And right now, again, we have no chaff here. We still have Vulcans standing, and then Phoenixes gets picked off. I almost feel like at this point, if it helps, just get some level 2 item, maybe steel balls, take the armor, and let them run towards this Vulcan and soak up the damage a little bit more. The Vulcan are surviving way too long and doing way too much chaff clear. Alright, huge hit, and we're coming down to what seems to be a final round. We got level 4 steel balls. I think the Zemp should definitely pick that. There's no reason not to take the level 4 and get armor, but instead he picked the boats. Why do you pick the boats? The boats actually doesn't help anything. Your boats, I mean, yeah, okay, I get it. You get mothership, you can produce 4 wasps to a total of 12, but what good are these wasps going to be if your boats can never really get into range of these double shot marksmen? I mean, they pop boats in one hit. I mean, they don't even need the second double shot. A level 7 marksman with elite, the first shot, that's 23,000 damage, and that's already more than the health of a boat. So these marksmen are like super OP. And with quick reload, they're shooting twice as fast. So very, very OP stuff. Alright, more marksmen come down. Obesity actually chose the steel balls, but he did sell one of them, so not putting any more tech on them. With the Zemp, is also elite gets picked up for Phoenixes, but look at the levels on the Phoenixes. They're so few high-level phoenixes. The highest one here is level 3, level 3. Yeah, that's as well as big as they're gonna get. Whereas these marksmen like level 7, 6. Yeah, it's looking pretty rough here. And this is what happens when Vulcan marksmen get their time to scale and your army is not scaling with them. I think ultimately you lose the chaff war because these Vulcans are just so darn good at clearing out chaff. Yeah, and that's it. So the Zemp, a master at standard play, is unable to crack the Vulcan marksman setup. And I think from turn after turn, the big problem with the Vulcan marksman setup was just that he wasn't able to take down the Vulcan fast enough. I think the Wasp should have come a lot sooner. I think that's so weird. EM and aerial. I think the aerial was in anticipation for Wasp from obesity, but yeah. All right, let's before we wrap up the video, let's jump into a replay for the Zemp and see if we can change something by taking the steel balls. So we're going to take the steel balls. I'm going to grab the armor. I'm going to hide the steel balls behind these crawlers here. And we're going to do them vertically so that even if they're getting targeted by marksmen, they're getting targeted one at a time. At the same time, we're going to triple Wasp. And then we're just going to level up all of our Phoenixes. These Wasps, I think they should come in ultra late. Alright, we have Intensive. Maybe we use the Intensive on a squad of big Phoenixes. Maybe this guy here. Alright, we're going to take range speed. We have fire off cooldown, so we're going to put fire down. Majority of the fights happening in this junction, so we're going to have fire down right here. Let's see. You know what? Instead of having fire down there, let's have fire all the way in the back. I think the most annoying chaff here are just these two crawlers, so we're going to have them all the way in the back here. And with the money... Oh, crap. Ran out of time. The steel balls, I don't think it did too much because the marksmen are just way too big. And because they have quick shot, it yeah, it is just... It was very good on paper, assuming the marksmen are sort of at the same level, maybe level 2. But once you get to like level 7 and 8 marksmen with like 25,000 per shot, it's very difficult for any sort of armor play at lower levels. So yeah, fantastic play here by Obesity. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see another one, here's a video for you. And I hope to see you on the next one.
Prepare your tactics. Mechabellum's calling. Deploy your fortress. The battlefield's alive with swarms.